What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am super excited for 2022, and I'm also really excited about this video in particular. I basically decided, look, last year was the best year ever that I've had for my agency. I'm not even talking about Digital Ambition and automatic CSS and everything else that happened last year, just talking about my agency, best year ever by far. And I thought to myself, how can I make sure that all of the agencies and freelancers that are in my community here on YouTube, on Facebook, in the inner circle, whatever, how can I make sure that they have their best year ever? Now, obviously, I'm going to be making a lot of videos in 2022. We're going to talk a lot about how to run a better, more profitable agency and freelance business in 2022. But I thought to myself, hey, if I could record one video to get everybody off on the right foot, like 3 things for them to focus on for 2022 to increase revenue and profitability. And I'm talking about, like, if you follow these 3 things, you're going to at minimum double your revenue and profitability, probably triple, 4x, 5x, somewhere in that range. Some of you who are on the lower end of websites right now, we're talking about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10x what you're currently doing. That's what I'm talking about. That's the power of this video right here. So if you watch one video of mine on the agency freelance side for 2022, it should probably be this one. Because if you do these 3 things, I guarantee that you are going to get those kinds of results. Now, we're going to dive in here. I am going to try a new format out. It's going to be like a sketching writing format on the screen, like a digital whiteboard kind of thing. And I think this is going to help those of you who are visual learners. I know it's going to help me as I teach this kind of stuff. When I'm not inside of Oxygen, it helps for me to be like doing things as I teach. But it's up to you. Drop a comment below. I would love to know what you think of this format after you watch this video. I also want to know, if you believe or if you have reservations that this video, the content in this video is tremendously going to help you. Just tell me, like, what's your confidence level, or if you're unsure, or if you have any objections to what you hear in this video. And I am going to give you some resources that you can pursue as well. But let's go ahead and let's dive right in. I'm ready to get rocking and rolling if you are. All right. Time is ticking, right? It's 2022. It's already the second day of 2022. Time is ticking. Okay. So let me just write this out here. So we're going to do 3 tips for 2022. Boom. 3 tips for 2022. I'm going to lay out the 3 tips, and then we're going to go into a little bit more detail. So tip number 1 is going to be talk price early. Now, this is not some super magical, amazing pricing tip or anything like that is going to rock your world right away, but it is extremely important. We're going to talk about why. Number 2 is I want you to bill for everything you deliver. Bill for everything you deliver. This is a huge one. And this is where we're going to spend most of our time, because there's so many of you who are doing a lot of deliverables for free, or you're not including deliverables that you absolutely should be including. And there are a lot of you doing website projects at a price point where I will actually say it is impossible to build a real business tool that generates ROI for the price you are charging. And if I was advising prospects, like people who actually need websites for their business, if I was advising them, I would say, don't touch an agency or freelancer that's charging $1,000 for a website or $2,500 even for a website. Don't even touch them. They're not in the ballpark of where they need to be to serve you appropriately and to serve you with a tool that is actually going to grow your business. All right. And we're going to talk about the difference between a digital brochure website and a real digital, like, central marketing hub for a business, which is a mindset shift that clients are making. And it's a mindset shift you need to have made as a freelancer or an agency, or you're going to die. Okay. You're thinking, not you personally, but your business is going to die. Okay. All right. Number 3 is going to be very simple. This is an easy one. This is probably the easiest one, even though there might be a little discomfort at first. It's a very easy one, and it is a game changer. Even though it's simple, it is a game changer. No more milestone payments. You're not going to offer milestone payments in 2022. Did you hear me? You're not going to offer milestone payments in 2022. Kevin, what's a milestone payment? We'll talk about it more when we get there. But in the short, it is, hey, you do 50% up front. I'll do it when we get to the halfway mark. You pay me another 25%. When we go live, you pay me the last 25%. Things like that. You are not going to do milestone payments in 2022. All right, so let's go ahead and I don't think we need to draw out too much for number one, talk price early, but I will circle it here. Talk price, actually, instead of circling it, let me go, let's try out our highlighter. Ooh, this is the one we're talking about right here. Okay, talk price early. I have mentioned this in a couple past videos, but I want you to get to a price range as soon as possible with a client when you are on these free discovery calls or strategy calls or whatever you call them, right? But anyway, a client comes along or they're introduced to you, you start having a conversation with the client. Hey, yeah, I'm so agency. What can I do for you? Hey, we need a website, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fantastic. Do you have a current website? What industry are you in? Basic stuff like that you're going to talk about. And then I want you to pull up their existing website if they have one. More often than not, they have an existing website that you'll be redesigning and relaunching. But if they don't have one, ask them about their industry. Ask them how many services they have. Ask them all that kind of stuff. But don't get into all the key details yet. Just gather enough information for you in your head to be like, this is like a $5,000 website. This is like a $10,000 website. This is like a $20,000 website, something in there, right? Now, if you don't know how to get to a range in your head, I actually have a tool. It's a spreadsheet tool, and it will give you a range. So you outline the fundamentals really quick, and it will spit out a range for you. But nevertheless, you need to, in your head, be able to get to a range very, very quickly. And here's how I want you to present this range to the person. And this, for me, I try to make this happen within the first 5 minutes of talking to somebody. You can talk to somebody for 5 minutes and collect enough information to know this is like a $10,000 website, right? And so here's what I do. I say, okay, cool. I would love to hear all the details about your project. And I'm ready to take a bunch of notes. But before we dive in, I've done projects like this in the past for clients, for businesses just like yours, or for industries, for this industry, XYZ industry, whatever industry they're in. Typically, it's between, and now we spit out a range, $5,000 to $15,000. You actually want this to be kind of a big range, okay? Don't be like between $5,000 and $6,000. No, that's way too specific. Between $5,000 and $15,000, between $10,000 and $20,000, between $20,000 and $40,000. Those are the kinds of ranges you throw out. And you throw out that range, and then you just say, is that within your budget? Or is that what you expected to spend? Or something like that, right? Something to that effect. And then what you are going to do next is intently focus on their reaction and what they have to say in the next, let's say, 2 minutes, okay? If they start, whoa, they start short-circuiting when you give them that range, big red flag that this person is not prepared to pay what you need them to pay. Now, in your mind, as an agency or freelancer, as somebody who, hey, I don't throw out those ranges very often. That sounds a little bit higher than all the projects that I do. You're thinking to yourself, I mean, who wouldn't balk at that, right? Man, let me tell you this. I've thrown out ranges before. That's going to be $50,000 to $100,000. Oh, that's exactly what we expected to pay. You cannot discount yourself before they do. Okay, you cannot say, you're rejecting the project before you give them a chance to reject the project. That is something that you have to get over. That is something that you have to get past immediately, like ASAP, like yesterday. You've got to get past that. If they're going to reject it, let them reject it. Don't you reject it first. And there are many ways where freelancers and agencies reject projects before they even give the prospect a chance to reject the project. Here's another way to do it. Well, I'm thinking that would probably be like, around $7,500. Oh gosh. Like that kind of, like they can sense, like I'm exaggerating it, obviously, but the prospect can sense that that is your like, it's, I think $7,500, sir, that kind of thing. You're done. Like you've already rejected the project for them. Okay. Now they have no confidence that you can actually deliver a project that's worth $7,500. But if you're just coming right out of the gate, imagine this, you're on the call with the client, you've collected just a little bit of information, you come right out of the gate. Hey, I would love to hear all of the details about this project. But before we dive too deep, most of the businesses that I've worked for in the past on these types of projects have spent between $5,000 and $15,000. Now, there's a key there, right? Have spent. It's not I charge them. It's they've spent. They've spent between $5,000 and $15,000. Does that sound about right? Is that within your budget? Is that what you were expecting to spend? You can word it however you want to word it, okay? But now the ball is in their court and you have produced this with confidence. You are driving the conversation. You are controlling what is happening right now. And the client is now having to respond to you. And it's their reaction here that really, really matters. So if they balk, if they flinch, whatever, it's a big red flag. Now, it doesn't disqualify them. There are a lot of clients who they're like, oh, woo, I didn't know I was going to spend that much. And then, but they're curious. They're like, why is it that much? Why should I be spending that much? And now you have a chance to educate them. And at the end of educating them, they could be very accepting of that range and ready to do business with you. So it's not 100% disqualification, but it is a red flag. Some clients, and this is why you need to continue the conversation forward. And there's a lot of ways to do this. And this is stuff that I'm going to be doing a lot of training around and coaching around inside of the inner circle on how to handle these conversations. But there are some clients who are just never going to get to where you need them to get to. They're not even going to be close. And the whole point of talk price early is that you need to figure out which person this is as soon as possible, because there are people that will string you along and waste tremendous amounts of time. How many hours of doing proposals and statements of work and phone calls and reconsiderations, and we need to talk more and we need to do this and we need to do that, or can you show me something first? Like we'll do this and that. Like that is so much wasted time on a person that is never going to get to a price that you need to get them to, that you need them to get to. Okay. So the whole point of this first thing is cut your losses early and often. If you want 2022 to be your best year ever, you need to get past these people as quickly as possible and spend the majority of your time and focus and attention and effort on the people who have the money that you need them to have, or are willing, most of these people have the money, are willing to spend the money you need them to spend. So that's number one, talk price early. All right, let's talk about number two. This is the key kind of thing here. This is the bread and butter of this training. So I'm going to draw out a website here. And I'm off the screen. Hold on one second. Let me get this over here. All right. I'll just make a small one. So here's your website right here. Got your little logo, got your navigation up here. The big problem that a lot of you have, this is the traditional way. All right. I don't even know if I would call this the traditional way, the popular way, the way I see all the time. This is the mistake way to do it. This is the non-legit way to do it. Think of it however you want to think of it. But you have this website, the client, you're on the phone with the client and they're like, hey, we need a website. You're like, cool. How many pages is it? And then you throw out a number. And I don't really know how you calculated this number or arrived at this number, but I can pretty much confidently say if you're in the $500 to $2,500 website range, which I did a poll on my YouTube channel the other day, and I asked people, hey, average of the last few projects you did, what is it? And a bunch of people were in this $500 to $2,500 range. And I can confidently say if you're in the $500 to $2,500 range, you probably don't have a really rock solid scoping process. And then you're also probably not thinking about these websites the way you need to be thinking about them, and the way that businesses, the clients that you are going to end up working with, need to be thinking about them. All right, so here's what you do. You say, all right, that is $2,500. Boom, $2,500 website. And again, I said this is going to be 10 pages. All right, so we're going to end up scoping out a 10-page website. Now, again, I don't know how you arrived at this number, but what I do know is you have a big problem. And that is problem number one. We'll say selling one thing. And this plays right into a bias that your clients already have, an erroneous bias, and it's something that you should correct as quickly as possible. But you're not correcting it by just giving them a price and selling one thing. But here's how clients think. I need a website. My business needs a website. And they come to you and they say, my business needs a website. They mentioned one thing. Did they mention my business needs wireframes? My business needs UX design. My business needs UI design. My business needs professional copywriting. My business needs SEO. My business. No, they say my business needs a website. They're asking you for one thing. And then you come along and whoops, that's the eraser. You come along and you sell them one thing. Why? Why are you selling them one thing? Just because they asked for one thing? You've got to correct them. Okay, yes, I hear you want a website, but what you're actually asking for is a lot of things. All right? And here's all the things that you're asking for by asking for a website. But we're not going to get there yet. We're going to get there in a minute. So this is the traditional model. You sell them one thing for $2,500. And what you've done effectively is you either haven't sold everything that you're going to deliver. You're going to deliver lots of things, not just one thing, and you're not pricing for all of those things appropriately, or you're truly not going to deliver things you should be delivering. And that's why it's only $2,500. And for a lot of you, I think it's going to be a combination of both. But even so, you are doing a massive disservice to your clients, and we need to fix that, not just for their sake, but for your sake as well, because you're leaving a tremendous amount of money on the table. You're also leaving a tremendous amount of ROI on the table for the business, most likely, okay? So this is the traditional model. Now, what's really wrong, other than selling one thing and kind of breaching that like reality of websites, what else is the problem with just selling one thing, a website at $2,500? Well, first of all, you can't scale. So problem number two, no ability to scale. So you got to think to yourself, hey, if I'm going to be an actual business owner and I'm not going to do all the work in my business, what do I need to charge? Like if I need to have one or two or three other people working on this project, what are they going to charge me to do that kind of work? In the end, if I put the entire website into their hands, how much will they bill me for? Okay. And I would gather that if you've got two or three people working on that 10-page website from start to finish, if they're as skilled as you are, you're going to be upside down. They're going to charge you at least $2,500. Okay. Remember, this is three separate people. There was only one of you charging $2,500 to do this website. Now you're going to put three people on it. And we're going to talk about why you need three people. Why you're probably not going to get the job done with just one person doing the work. But at the end of the day, you're probably upside down. At best case scenario, you're breaking even. You don't have a business. At that point, you have a nonprofit. You have a charity, okay? They're paying $2,500 for a website, but you don't have anything left over at the end of the day. So that's a huge problem. Problem three is you're living project to project. This in the W-2 world is called paycheck to paycheck. But you, because you're a freelancer or an agency, are living project to project. Now, what that means is if you are a solo entrepreneur, you're not pawning this project off. I'm not going to say pawning the project off. You're not having other people do the work in the project so that you can build an actual business, because building a business and doing work in the business are two very, very separate things. But if you are doing this by yourself and you get sick, you get COVID, you get Omicron, you get whatever, now you're going to be up shit creek, okay? You can't do the work that you promised to do. And at that point, if you have to farm out the work, you're really going to be, below water because you priced it for you. You didn't price it for these other people doing the work. So yeah, you're going to get the project done, but you're not going to be able to feed your family. You're not going to have anything left over at the end of the day. What also happens is if there's any delays on this project or expenses go a little bit higher than you imagined on this project, you're going to be hurting for cash. And when you're hurting for cash, the next opportunity that runs along, here is opportunity number 2. Hey, I need a website too. You're like, your attention goes from this website here all the way over to project number 2. And now who suffers? Client number 1. Client number 1 gets hosed because you are now schmoozing with client number 2 because you got bills to pay, because there was no margin in that $2,500. Okay? You just said, hey, that's what I can afford to do if I'm doing it myself. And then things went a little bit awry. And now suddenly you're upside down in the project. You need to go chase the next dollar. You are project to project. Notice when I talk about downsides here in this training, I'm not just talking about downsides to you as a freelancer or to you as an agency owner. I'm talking about downsides to your clients. And I explain this to prospects all the time. You know how many prospects have come to my agency and said, the other agency abandoned us. They're gone. They ghosted us. We paid them money and they're gone. I don't know what to do. They did half the work. Now they're gone. And there's a lot of explanations for why that happened. Maybe some of the stuff was on the client. It's never really on the client. It's always on the agency for not educating the client, for not setting the right expectations with the client, for making sure the client knows what they need to do. And we're going to talk about that more in a minute when we get there. But the bottom line is, the agencies that don't charge and the freelancers that don't charge appropriately, my eye's twitching, sorry. It's been doing that for a while. Hopefully it's not super noticeable because it feels awkward. I'm trying to look at the camera and my eyes like I don't know what's going on. It's Omicron, got my eyeball. All right, so the thing is every time I see agencies not charging enough and freelancers not charging enough, right? They're living project to project. The client suffers tremendously. Let me say it again. The client suffers tremendously. And I tell clients this all the time. I'm like, oh, you got to be very, very careful, right? The lower the price of that project is, the better, the more sweat better be coming off your brow as you're signing that contract, because this thing may never get to fruition. And the other thing with project to project is if you're not abandoning the client, you just start cutting lots of corners. Freelancers and agencies notorious for this. They just start cutting lots of corners. Oh, let's just get it done, get it out, right? So you're still not being served well as the client when you're dealing with a budget freelancer or a budget agency. So again, a lot of you're going to look at these trainings that I'm doing when I'm talking about increasing prices, increasing profitability, charging more, yada, yada, yada. You're going to think, Kevin, you just want to hose clients. No, absolutely not. I'm in the business of protecting clients. The key here that you must understand is both of you can win. Both of you will win when a project is priced appropriately. Okay? It's not just the agency and the freelancer winning. That is like such a fundamental thing to drive into your head until it sticks, right? When a budget freelancer or budget agency charges a budget price, they lose, and so does the client most often than not. When a client pays the appropriate amount, is willing to pay the appropriate amount, the agency freelancer is charging the appropriate amount, willing to charge the appropriate amount, that is a scenario where it works, where everybody wins. The client gets what they wanted, and the agency gets what they needed, okay? So that is just absolutely critical. So let's talk about, I don't like that little divider there. Okay. So let's draw another website, because now we're going to talk about the real way. Now we're going to talk about appropriate pricing. Now we're going to talk about everybody winning. So a client comes along and they say, I want a website. Or we'll change that to I need, right? I need a website. Okay, cool. They're asking you for one thing, but we all know that this thing is not just one thing. Let me switch to I've got another tablet over here because I wanted to get some notes down to make sure that we didn't miss anything for you guys, okay? So they're asking for one thing, and now and by the way, you've already qualified them. You've talked about price early and often. So you already gave them a range, and they, in their mind, were like, yep, that fits into my range. There's no red flags, whatever. And now you're on to the next step. So we're going to talk about what all goes into this website. How many deliverables are there? And how many disciplines are there? So there's really 2 D's that I want you to think about. 2 D's that I want you to think about. One is deliverables, one is disciplines, okay? There's a lot of deliverables maybe under one discipline, but you know as well as I know that when you're building a website the right way, when you're building a real legitimate business tool, there's a lot of disciplines involved. So we're just going to outline some of these. So we're going to do number 1. That goes into this is discovery. Okay, so you got to do some background research on this company. You got to have a lot of conversations with the owner, maybe with other people on the team. You've got to look at their competitors. You've got to do a lot of work to make sure that you're building what this company actually needs you to build. Remember, most clients are coming to you and they're hoping that you are like a consultant. They know they need a website, but they don't know all of what it needs to be involved, right? To actually get them to a central digital marketing hub for their business that's going to generate a tremendous ROI. That's what they really want at the end of the day. That's what they're really asking you for. Like, no company just wants a website. No company just wants something there. They want something that is going to attract the right people, convert those people, and grow their bottom line. Like if you said, okay, do you want me to build you a brochure that nobody really ever sees or interacts with? Or do you want me to build an actual digital funnel that like lots of people go to? And I'm like looking over here like I'm talking to the client. You want something that people actually go to and read and look at and click buttons on and fill out forms on and make purchases on and become leads on? Or do you want this other thing that's just a digital brochure that just sits there and looks pretty? Which one do you think they're going to choose, right? So when they come to you and say, I need a website, they're not telling you I need a digital brochure, make me something pretty. They're saying, I need a tool that is going to grow my business. All right. So understanding that, then we have to say, okay, what is involved in actually creating that? So you have your discovery. Next, you have your UX design. Okay. This is in the form of, wireframes. So your deliverables here would be wireframes. But let's just look at these 2 disciplines to get started. Discovery is a discipline. There's actually a lot of deliverables under discovery. I'm not going to list them all out. UX design is a discipline. Can the same 2 people, if you go to any random person who does discovery and strategy, and let's say a lot of your discovery involves SEO. So I want you to take a random SEO expert and say, now I want you to make me a whole set of amazing UX wireframes in Figma. How many of them do you think are going to be able to do that? These are clearly 2 separate disciplines, all right? So this is the stuff I want you to keep in mind as we go through this. What else goes into this? Well, we have UI design, and you're going to see this even more as we continue to go down the list, the separation of disciplines. Why is that doing that? Okay. UX design, wireframes, UX design, mockups. So high fidelity mockups is the typical deliverable of UI design. Ask yourself again, out of all the discovery people, how many can go into Figma and make a high fidelity mockup? Even UX designers who specialize in wireframes aren't always good at UI. There's a lot of UI designers who can make beautiful things in Figma, but they don't understand at all UX or discovery. They take wireframes, they make them pretty, okay? So these are clearly different disciplines. And whenever you have different disciplines, guess what you need? People, okay? Because if the same person is doing all of this, you have a jack of all trades. In fact, I don't want to do like stick figures. Let's make them smiling people, okay? So here's your people. There's my faces. All right, so there's your people. You've got to be putting people into these seats. Now we're thinking bigger, right? But we're not thinking bigger just to be bigger. We're thinking bigger because we need to actually deliver what the client needs from us. And it's very difficult for you to be an expert in all of these different areas. Can you be serviceable in all of these different areas? Yes, you can be serviceable in all of these different areas. But even if you're serviceable in all these different areas, you're not going to be able to scale if you insist on doing it all yourself. So you're going to make serviceable websites, not great websites, not top performing websites. You're going to make serviceable websites and you're not going to scale. That's what you're saying when you're like, oh, I can do all these things myself and I'm going to do all these things myself. Okay, fine. And that might be good enough to put enough money in your pocket for now, but you can't scale and you'll never buy your time back. You'll always be stuck. And when Omicron comes around, you got the Omi homie, right? That is going to put you out of commission and you're going to be project to project, paycheck to paycheck. You're still going to be not living great. It's going to be a high stress lifestyle. A week goes by and you're like, man, I'm not really feeling it this week. I'm a little burned out. Too bad. So sad. You got to get back on the horse. You're project to project. You're paycheck to paycheck because you're not charging what you need to charge. You're not charging for everything you deliver and you insisted on doing all this stuff yourself. Okay? Those are the positions you were going to find yourself in. So I'm not just saying scale to be bigger, scale to get more revenue, scale to get more profitability, whatever. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying scale because it's what your clients need from you. See, if you're going to be a freelancer, the problem with freelancers, let's just go on a side tangent real quick. We'll just go down here. So freelancer, a real freelancer does a specific thing really well. Here's what a freelancer could do. UI design. I'm going to do one component of a website. That's what a legitimate freelancer would do. And they would be an expert at UI design. They would be an expert at whipping up amazing looking stuff in Figma. But that's all they would do. That's a legitimate freelance role. I would argue that web design is not a legitimate freelance role because what you're saying is I'm going to freelance 7 different disciplines and I'm going to freelance 700 different deliverables out of those 7 different disciplines. What you're basically saying is I'm a jack of all trades, which means you're a master of none, which is great, but you only make serviceable products. And even if you're amazing at all this stuff, you can't help a lot of people. You can only help a few different people at a time. And you'll never help the big players, right? Because even if you did, even if you got a really big contract, let's say you got a 6-figure contract and it's going to pay you $8,000 a month, okay? Or $9,000 a month or $10,000 a month, whatever. That sounds amazing, right? But you are now beholden to what is the difference between a freelancer and an employee at that point? You can't service any other clients. You've got this massive client. You've got to give them all of your attention. And I say this all the time. Employees are freelancers with one client. That is all an employee is. So if you're a freelancer, if you call yourself a freelancer and you have one big client, you're no different than an employee. And the one day you may wake up and that client says either, hey, sorry, we ran out of money, or 2, we just don't like you anymore, right? Or you got the Omi homie and they're like, we don't want you around here anymore, right? Whatever it could be. I don't know. It could be anything. You wake up and that client just decides today is not your day. You just lost everything, everything. So you have no diversification. And this happens all the time to W-2 employees. They walk into the office on a Friday. Hey, we got to talk to you today. Okay, sit them down, talk to you. Oh, bye-bye. Clear out your desk, right? Your position is not needed here anymore sometimes, or just you're not needed here anymore. It can happen in any number of ways, but you understand what I'm saying, right? So I want you to really be thinking about, all right, I probably should not be trying to freelance entire website projects. I should probably go the agency route. I need to put the right people in the right seats on the bus. What is this going to cost me? First of all, what are all the seats on the bus? And then what is it going to cost? And then how can I make sure that I build a healthy business by pricing appropriately? That's the discussion we're having here right now. And this is going to change the game for you, I promise, in 2022. We're not done. So you have discovery. Here's your discovery. You have your UX. You have your UI. What else? How about copywriting? All right. So get me a UI designer, get me a UX designer, and now say, I want you to write professional sales copy for this website. Are they going to be able to do it? No, probably not. They're not going to be able to do it. You are like, well, I can write serviceable copy. Here we are back to the I can write serviceable copy. Oh, here's the I'm going to take on the next set of deliverables. You know how long it takes to write copy? You know how much you have to study to write really good copy for a business? It's a specialty area. It is a specialty discipline. Okay, but you're like, well, Kevin, I don't need to do copywriting because I make the client do that. You make the client do that? You make the client do that? Here's the thing. The two massive problems with this. Number one, you know as well as I do, clients don't deliver copy on time, ever, or hardly ever, and they deliver really poor copy. So let's go back to what we said in the beginning. Do you want, Mr. Client, a brochure website that looks pretty and has all the boxes checked, or do you want a website that actually grows your business? Client says, I want a website that actually grows the business. Well, guess what then? They can't write the copy because they're not copywriters. Even if they did write the copy on time, it's not going to be good copy. And chances are they're not going to write the copy or provide the copy on time either. So there's two massive problems here, and it's your fault. Let me poke you. It's your fault as the freelancer or the agency for putting them in that position and not telling them, hey, look, doing copyright, building a website that actually grows your bottom line, that actually it achieves the goals that you told me you wanted to achieve, that takes professionally written copy. It can't just take serviceable copy. It can't just take copy that you guys whip up, right? No offense to you, but unless you have a copywriting background, if you write copy for this website, chances are it's not going to deliver because copy is one of the most important aspects of a website. And its performance and conversion and sales and all of that. Even more so than the design, which everyone focuses on. Everybody wants to focus on how beautiful is it, how pretty is it, how clean is it, all of that. But at the end of the day, you can have an ugly website with amazing copy and it will sell like gangbusters. So this is what I tell clients all the time. Look, I understand you want to try to save money. You want to try to do it yourself. You guys think that you're capable. I'm just telling you, if you guys produce the copy for this, there is a strong chance that this website does not deliver. Now, if you want to go that route, we're not going to get into all the details there. For me, pretty much it's like required that our agency produces the copy for websites. We do not put that in the client's hands. We almost do not let them. And it's the way I position it in the conversations, right? Where they get the vibe like, all right, this is something I got to invest in, right? But we've just gone through the whys, okay? You are not doing the client a service by expecting them to write the copy or letting them write the copy. So if they're pressing you, no, we really want to do this. You got to press back. It is your job to press them back. But copywriting, you can clearly see this is a completely separate discipline. What does that mean? You need another face on that in that seat of the bus. Okay. So we're out of copywriting here. What else are we going to do? Well, we're off to the very common thing that everybody understands, which is development. All right, so that's going to need a face. Now, within development, this is one of those disciplines where there are just tons of deliverables. So every one of these disciplines has its own set of deliverables, but development by far has the most amount of deliverables. So here's an area where you're probably undercharging because there's so much you're just not accounting for. So it goes back to, what did I say up here? Bill for everything that you deliver. Bill for everything that you deliver. It's not just disciplines that you deliver for, it's all the deliverables within those disciplines have to be properly accounted for ahead of time so that you can scope this thing out properly. So we'll get more into detail on that maybe later, but we're going to keep moving. What else? Well, there's project management. This is a big one that so many people don't bill for. And it is another discipline area that has lots and lots of deliverables. Phone calls, emails, project management software, Monday, meetings and updates, and all of these things that go into managing a project well, you probably doing them for free, if we're being honest, right? or it's just the cost of doing business. But here's the thing. Big companies, think Microsoft, think Apple, think like all these people that have amazing websites, gigantic websites, they do all this stuff internally, right? They're not hiring agencies. They're doing this stuff internally. So they have a web team, right? And they have project managers. And what do? They pay project managers because real websites that produce real results require project management, because you just saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now 6 different faces involved in this project. Those people need to be coordinated. This project needs to be organized. This project needs a point person. You can't tell the client, well, go talk to my discovery person, go talk to my wireframe person, go talk to my mockup person. There needs to be one point of contact, okay? So this requires another face. And when it requires another face, it requires another bill, okay? It requires another invoice line item. This, again, is not just a way to make money. It is something the project actually needs. Here's another question you can pose to a prospect. Would you like us to wing your project, or would you like us to place your project into a rock solid, systematized process that goes through multiple people and has a dedicated manager? Which one do you think the client is going to choose? Are they just going to, risk the first version, or are they going to say, no, please put me into the rock solid, systematized process and give me a project manager? If they're going to choose number 2, then they pay for number 2, okay? Because number 2 can't possibly be free. So you understand, this is another line item, another discipline area that doesn't just serve you. Because as the owner, this takes a lot of weight off your shoulders. Having this project management person, man, that is amazing. It dramatically, well, I just had like a stroke. It dramatically, the homie got me again. It's affecting my brain now. No, the project manager takes so much stress off of your shoulders. Okay. So, that's great for you, but it also takes stress off of everybody involved in the project. All these people in these different seats on the bus, much less stress now. They all feel organized. They all feel like they know their place. They all feel like they know what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it. They're checking off all their tasks, yada, yada, yada. And then for the client, ultimately, at the end of the day, the website gets done on time. The website gets done on budget, and they have a communication person they feel confident in. They never feel like they're out of the loop. They never feel like they don't know what's going on. Everything works really smoothly, and they have a great experience. And when they have a great experience, what does that also do? It lands you testimonials. It lands you case studies. And that's another thing. Let's go back to copywriting for a minute. Remember when I said, oh, you're going to let the client write the copy? Let me make sure I'm on the right part here so you guys can see all this. We're going to make the client write the copy. If the client doesn't deliver your copy ever, or on time, let's say it's 3 months late, here's the thing about that. They're going to blame you still. Okay. They're still going to find a way. It's just, they just haven't had a good experience. And I'll back them up on this. I'll go back to saying it actually is your fault. It actually is your fault because you let them do what they weren't supposed to be doing, or you told them to do what they never should have been doing in the first place. So that is on you. Sure, you can point the finger at them and say, hey, you were supposed to deliver the content. You didn't deliver the content on time. But at the end of the day, the client is the one that's not happy, which means you don't get a good testimonial. You don't have a good case study. This is hurting your business, and their website was late. The copy wasn't done right. So now it's hurting their business. It's another situation where all of you lose, where if you had just took my advice and done all this the right way, you all would have won. So again, for all of you who think, Kevin just wants to increase his prices so we can increase his profitability, make more money, he just cares about what's in the bank. No, it's about serving clients the right way. It's about giving them an end product that actually grows their business, and doing that on time and on budget with a really great experience. Everybody wins when you do this stuff right. Okay. Did I leave anything out? No. So let's talk about actually scoping this stuff. I'm going to clear this out. We're going to get rid of all this. Okay. So what does it look like? Remember, we cannot do all of this for $2,500. It's just not possible. Let's go line by line and just talk about some of this stuff, okay? So one thing I would highly recommend that you do is you do a base website fee. Let me write these all out again. So we're going to do discovery. We're going to do UX. That's your wireframes. Okay. We're going to do UI. That's your mockups. We're going to do copy. We're going to do dev. And inside of dev, we've got, a laundry list of deliverables that we're going to be doing. And then we're going to do project management. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So let's do some pricing now. What I'm going to do is put one more thing up here, and this is a base fee. There are a lot of setup costs involved in onboarding a new client. There's a lot of stuff, deliverables that we just know we're going to need when it comes to launching the website, when it's actually done, right? And then there's just the idea of, look, to get started on something like this, it's like a setup fee, basically. But it also includes just a lot of just deliverables that are there for every single project. So it doesn't matter how custom you scope things out, there is stuff that is needed in every single project. And all of this I just wrap into a base fee. And all we're going to do is go down the line and just see what happens when we actually scope out a project accounting for all disciplines, all right? So let's say we're going to put our base fee, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to give y'all the benefit of the doubt. Y'all, I'm from the South. Y'all, I'm going to give y'all the benefit of the doubt. We're going to go on the low end of all this stuff, all right? So base fee, we're going to say is just $500. Does that look like a 500? Should I write that better? Let's take our time. Okay. Base fee is just $500. That's going to cover, WordPress development server setup, installing WordPress, getting your Oxygen set up, doing all the normal stuff that you have to do with Oxygen, like getting colors set and sizes and all that good stuff. It's going to deal with all the launch deliverables on the back end, so all the DNS management, all the, backing it up, moving it from server to server, going live, checking everything, all of that stuff is all included in the base fee. Okay, so we have your base fee of $500. Now we're going to talk discovery. All right, so on the discovery side of things, remember, you're going to put a lot of work into, all right, what does this client do? How does their business work? What is their process like? How are their competitors positioning things online? SEO work is involved in there, like SEO discovery, some basic keyword research. Now, I know what I charge for discovery, but we're going to keep this on the very low end. Most of you probably don't even charge for discovery at this point. So I'm going to give you a number you can be comfortable with. You're going to charge $500 for discovery. All right, next is UI wireframes. So you decide, how much does it cost for me to develop a wireframe for a website? Now, this is the discipline of user experience design. So it's not just like, all right, hero, blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's legitimately sitting down and mapping out the experience you want users to have as they go through this website. What are they going to see first? Where are the buttons going to be? Where are the offers going to be? What do we want them to click on? What do they, when they're here, where do we want them to go next? Where were they previously? All of this stuff that goes into UX design, that all gets baked into these wireframes, okay? So you've got to decide, how much are those wireframes worth? I'm going to go super low end, and we're going to say that you do wireframes for $100. Okay? We already discussed this is a 10-page website. So we have $1,000 in wireframes. Next is UI mockups. So this is taking these wireframes. This is a completely different discipline, right? A different person in this seat. So another question you can ask is, how much are people going to be charging me to create wireframes? How much is someone going to charge me to do one page UI nice and pretty? Okay. And then how many mockups do I actually need? Do I need all 10 mockups? Do I need 5 mockups? It depends on your comfort level, right? My agency, my developers, they can take a homepage mockup and what we call a UI style guide, and then maybe a couple other mockups, and then they can build out, 20 different wireframe. As long as they have the wireframes, they can do 20 different pages from those. But the wireframes are absolutely critical. We do a wireframe for every single page of the website. But when it comes to mockups, we often do less. But to make you comfortable, if you want wireframe or mockups for every single page, we can do that. Actually, that would put it on the higher end. Let's do $100. So that's the low end of pricing for mockups. But we'll say we only need 5 of them. So that's a total of $500. Now we're going to write copy. Okay. How do we price out the copy? Well, I do it per word. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but we're going to do it per word. Now we're going to do a very, very low end. Very low end. Like you would not be profitable on this copy, but I'm just doing this to prove a point of billing for everything that you deliver. All right. Now, actually, let's remove that. Okay. 10 cents. And we'll put an @ symbol because now we need to know how many words we're going to be writing. Well, there's 10 pages. Let's say we do 500 words per page. So that's 5,000 words, which is $500 in copy. That is dirt cheap copy, dirt cheap copywriting. But I'm just doing this to prove a point. Okay. All right. So dev is next. Remember, we have 10 pages. How much are we going to charge to dev out a single page? Let's just keep this super consistent like we're doing. $100 times 10 pages equals $1,000. Okay. And let's just see where we are at with our addition here. So we've got 1,000 here. We've got 1,000 there. That's 2,000. We've got 1,000 here. That's 3,000. We've got 1,000 here. That's why is my eraser back again? So we're at 4,000. All right, cool. Now project management. I typically do this as a percentage of the project. So if we're at 4,000, let's just make this easy at 10%. So that's $400. So we are now at $4,400. And we have not talked about all the deliverables that go inside of dev that you, have not yet charged for. So forms, right? I charge for all the forms. If you're doing more advanced pages, if you're doing templates, we haven't even talked about templates yet. So let's do templates here. Right? Because those are different than pages. Sometimes there's 10 pages, but you need extra templates on top of that. Let's say you need 3 at $100 each. That's adding another $300 to your project. Okay. Now you're getting closer to $5,000. We could go through this all day and actually have a spreadsheet. And inside the inner circle, not only do I have a spreadsheet with scoping calculators built into it, but all of my pricing is in these spreadsheets. So you're going to be able to see everything I charge for every single component of a website build, all the different phases, all of the different disciplines. It's all mapped out for you. And you can change the amounts to your own amounts and then use the scoping calculators to fully scope out a website project. But we just took a $2,500 website, which I gave you on the top end that you were selling before as one thing. We broke out all the different areas at the dirt cheap prices, and we're close to $5,000. So we have 2x'd that website revenue. All right. Now, you've got to determine, even if you're not going to put all these faces, remember all these faces we talked about? Let's say you're still going to do this by yourself for a while. You're still going to do serviceable work in all these different areas. You're still going to do it yourself. You've at least doubled your revenue. Okay. Now, if we're going to put actual people in these seats, now we have to talk about how do we still be profitable after we put those people in the seats, because you ain't going to do it at this amount right here. I just told you this is dirt cheap pricing, right? If you actually did this website, you could easily be $10,000, $15,000, right? So you could easily be 10K, 15K. And here's what I tell people in the inner circle, 25K. The number of pages does not matter. The number of pages does not matter. You could take a client that says, I need a website. It's in this industry. It's 10 pages. How much? And you take 10 different agencies, you could get anywhere from $500 to $50,000. What is the difference, right? There's a lot of differences. Some things we've already talked about. But the lower you go on that range, the more you are likely as an agency or freelancer to go bankrupt, number one, and as the client to get a really shitty website or a website that's pretty but doesn't do anything for your business, right? The closer you are to the low end, those are the outcomes. The higher you are, now this is not a guarantee. There are some really high-priced agencies that do ask for work, okay? So you just still have to vet the agency. You still have to vet the freelancer. I'm talking to clients right now. But by and large, the higher you go, the better the experience is going to be, period, all right? And I'm not saying always choose the highest price person. I'm not the highest price agency. But in a scale, you're going to be much better off. I don't say well better off. You're going to be much better off with a middle to high priced agency than you are a low end agency or freelancer. That's almost guaranteed. All right. So let's talk about the last thing real quick before we go. What I want to do, we're already an hour into this thing. I think I've scratched the surface. I'm really encouraging you, again, having the best 2022 ever. The inner circle is $20 a month, or it's $16 a month if you pay for 6 months at a time. It's dirt cheap, okay? And it's was started dirt cheap. And I said, when we get to 100 members, I'm increasing the price to $50 a month. And then I may even increase it again from there. Well, we got to 100, we got to 200 members, we got to 300 members, 400 members, 500 members, 600 members, and 700 members. And I still haven't changed it because it's simply at this point, it's like goodwill, okay? I just want as many people as possible to be in it so that so as many people as possible can benefit and change lives. Like the one thing that I hear that makes me the proudest has nothing to do with automatic.css, has nothing to do with oxygen trainings. It's when a freelancer or agency, which they're doing in droves now, come into the inner circle and post and say, Kevin, I took your advice. I did X, Y, and Z, and I just sold a $5,000 website when previously I was doing $2,000 websites. Or I just sold a $10,000 website when previously I was just doing $2,500 websites. I had somebody come in and say they sold a $25,000 website. That is the highest project that they've ever sold. And there's much, much, much more margin in it for them. I also love when people come to me and say, Kevin, I finally brought on a person to do X. I finally brought on a person to do Y. And now I have more time. I have less stress. And I priced accordingly. So it's not really costing me that much money to bring them on. Those are like, when I wake up in the morning, that's what really gets me going, is hearing stories like that. Because I remember when I was dead broke, when I was trying my best to figure out how all this agency stuff works, when I had no idea how to properly price things, when I was slaving away, working 80 hours a week and still couldn't pay my family's bills, I remember being in that position. And I don't want people to be in that position. So I decided, hey, look, I don't need the inner circle money all that much. Let's leave it at 20 bucks. I'm like spitting at the camera now. I want as many people to get in here and benefit as absolutely possible. That is 100% the reality of why the inner circle is still $20 a month or $16 a month if you do the 6 month or whatever. Why I didn't raise it and why I'm not planning anymore on raising it. And in fact, I have to redo the sales page because it still is like early bird offer and all that other good stuff. It is what it is at this point, okay? It's there for you, so go get it. Go inside the inner circle, go to my trainings on pricing and scoping, grab my spreadsheet that has all my pricing in it, that has the scoping calculators in it. It's all right there for you. It doesn't get any easier than that. Having the best 2022 possible is literally grab the spreadsheet, follow what the spreadsheet says. That's all you have to do, and follow what we just outlined in this video. Number 3, no more milestones. Okay, so no more milestones, which means 50, oh gosh, it switched again. 50, 50, 25, 25, 25, 25. I've seen all of these before, right? 50, 25, 25, 25 up front, then 50, then 25. All of these different, like, oh, I'm so creative. I've got this whole milestone thing figured out. No. Here's the problems with milestones. Number 1, okay? It assumes you won't what? It assumes you won't deliver. You're telling people right off the bat, or you're not telling them, you're acknowledging, I may not deliver this. So to protect both of us, you can pay me 25% now, and then when I deliver some, you pay me a little more, and when I deliver some, you pay me some more. What are you? Are you a scam artist? Do you not do this for a living? Are you not a professional? Why wouldn't you deliver? Well, maybe one reason, I don't want to go off the screen with this, maybe one reason you wouldn't deliver is you price like this instead of like this. Like we've just talked about, right? You got these little itty bitty prices instead of the real prices you should be charging. That is one viable reason why you may not deliver. And I will tell clients in this video point blank, if you're dealing with an itty bitty agency, freelancer, budget side of things, you better get them to do milestones to protect you. Because the high likelihood is they are living project to project. And as soon as one little hiccup happens with your project, they're chasing the next dollar. So absolutely, if I'm talking to clients right now, freelancers, agencies, you better hear me because this is just the truth. When I tell clients, I'm like, hey, if they're going to go budget, you better go milestones because that does legitimately protect you. But what does it do if you're trying to get out of this rat race game? If you're trying to get out of paycheck to paycheck, project to project land, you got to understand that when you put a milestone offer out there, you're acknowledging that you may not deliver. Okay. So I don't want you to do that. 2, it allows the client to delay. And then this tremendously harms you because you thought you were a web design business. You thought you were in the business of building websites, but now what you're really in the business of is being an accounts receivable person. You're spending half your time chasing all of these people who owe you money, right? Or the other thing that happens, and this goes back to, remember, content? Oh, Kevin, I have the client do that. Well, guess what? If the client's a little tight for cash and they're like, well, I know that if I deliver this content, that kind of gets us to the next milestone and they're going to be asking for more money. So I'm just going to say, man, I've been busy. I haven't been able to get that that content to you. I'm so sorry. We're going to work on it this week. I got somebody on my team's going to help me with it. All these excuses that you always hear. A lot of times that's the client not delivering things because they don't want to be at the next milestone yet. Because they're a little strapped for cash. Why? Because you didn't talk about price. What? Let me go all the way back up here. You didn't talk about price early and often. You didn't realize that when you gave them the number, they were like, oh God, it's going to be so painful to pay for. And they didn't really have the money. And now here you are, all the way through all of this work inside the project, and it's time to deliver. And the client's like, I just don't think I'll give them that right now because I don't want to get another bill right now. And 2 months goes by and 3 months goes by. Man, I've seen it over and over and over and over again. Okay, so it assumes you won't deliver and it allows the client to delay as much as they want. So how do you get by this? Well, and this may be a little bit uncomfortable for some of you, but here's how you get by it. You say, we are going to go month to month payments. Actually, it's not even month to month because it's not a contract. It is a contract, but you get what I'm saying. It's not a contract they can cancel, right? It's monthly payments. Or there's 2 things you can do here. Or upfront 100%. And you're like, Kevin, that is crazy. Ain't nobody gonna go upfront 100% on a website. You want to bet? 60 to 70% of my clients make one payment upfront before any work is done for the entire project. $15,000, $25,000, $35,000, multiple times, not even blinking an eye. Why? Because it's how you position it. 2, I give them a 10% to 15% discount. Why? Because it's worth 10 to 15% to not have hassles, to not have clients who don't pay, to not have clients who do this and that and delay and whatever that we all just talked about, okay? So upfront actually should be, I would flip these, okay? So I would say upfront is like you put that offer in front of them first, and then if they want to go monthly, they can go monthly. And I do present these offers side by side, so they have a choice. I actually give them typically 3 options, okay? And that's what we need to talk about in the monthly payments. So in the monthly payments, we can come up here and we can say it can be, wow, stop switching back. 2 payments, 3 payments, 6 payments, and then sometimes even 12 payments, okay? So you can go monthly payments. That's super easy. Now, don't give them all these options. This is together 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 different options, okay? Don't give them all those options. Give them 3. So I would do an upfront payment, a 2 pay, and a 3 pay. Or if it's a really long kind of project and it's going to involve some like retainer type work, I would say give them an upfront or a 6 pay or a 12 pay. Sometimes I don't give the upfront. If it's a really big project, really like it's over the course of a year, there's retainer type work involved, I just go straight to monthly payments. And typically it's 6 or 12 months. We break it out because I want the cash flow. I want the recurring charges. I want the recurring cash flow. But there is risk to you. Now, one thing I will say about monthly payments, you go beyond the delivery of the project. So let's say it's just a website and it's 60 days. Okay, but you're going to offer a 3 pay and a 6 pay. There's a lot of risk to you in there that you've delivered this in 60 days. That are they going to make all of these payments, the 3rd payment or the remaining 4 payments? That risk equals maybe a 10% upcharge, right? So you say, look, I'll do flex payments with you, but it does cost a little bit more. So that's just another thing to think about when you're structuring these things. And again, you can see my proposals. You can see how I structure all of this stuff inside the inner circle. But this is going to immediately shift from, listen, I'm a professional. There is no chance in the world that I'm not going to deliver to you, okay? So we're not even going to entertain the milestone thing. That assumes I'm not going to deliver. And I don't want any delays on your part. So what we're going to do is I've processed this whole thing out. You have a statement of work that has every single deliverable on it. You have a fixed timeline. We're going to adhere to the timeline. You're going to adhere to the payment timeline. Here's the payment terms. You can pay once up front. You can make 2 payments. You can make 3 payments. You can make 6 payments, whatever you choose, but they're going to be on time every month, automatically withdrawn. I am not going to be a boss man at a mafia who has to go around with a baseball bat collecting money, okay? I'm not talking to the client now. I'm talking to you as a freelancer and agency owner. This is the mindset you got to be in. You're not going to be an accounts receivable person full time. You're not going to be a mafia hitman full time, okay? You're going to just put them on a monthly payment plan. It's going to be automatically withdrawn, and you're going to do the work and you're going to deliver on time. And that's how this is going to work. And let me tell you, it's a game changer. You get rid of the milestones, it is a game changer because no longer are you tight for the money. You get the bag on time every single month. All right, so let's go back and review. We've spent enough time on this video. We've scratched the surface enough. The rest is in the inner circle. 3 tips for 2022. Talk about price early. Bill for everything that you deliver. And no more milestone payments. You do these 3 things, you are going to win big in 2022. I hope this was really helpful to you. I hope that you do get in the inner circle and continue working with us more closely. Like I said, I want nothing more than for every single person here watching that considers themselves to be an agency or a freelancer to have the best 2022 imaginable. And I can lead you to that place. And so can a lot of the other people who are doing amazing work inside the inner circle. It's not just me. There's a lot of people in there who are helping as part of the community. We have built the best oxygen and I believe agency/freelance community on the internet. So it's up to you to go in if you want to. I believe everybody can afford it. And that is, you just got to make a decision. Really, you just got to make a decision. And I didn't want this to be a sales pitch for the inner circle, but it's just We're just talking reality at this point, right? All right, that's it from me. I'll be back. We've got tons of Oxygen videos coming. We got more agency freelance trainings coming. We've got more automatic CSS videos coming. 2022 is going to be amazing. I'm out. Peace.